Hello, everybody. I'm Natalie Riediger, and I'm the parent of two wonderful children who have dyslexia. I'm also an associate professor of public health nutrition at the University of Manitoba, and I'm so honored that I've been asked to share some of our story today for this important moment. My oldest son was excited to start school. I read to him regularly, starting as a baby, and while he had a late birthday, I knew he was ready. After successfully completing the reading recovery program in grade 1, and even after being the model student for his teacher's training, I knew something wasn't right. I started my son in private tutoring at the end of grade 1. Other children from his school were also there. Unfortunately, that private tutoring turned out to also not be evidence-based, just like reading recovery. I didn't know that teachers were not prepared to teach reading. I was in the dark and felt like we were paddling against a current. My other son started school a few years later. His mental well-being deteriorated rapidly in grade 1 while in reading recovery. He refused to go to school almost daily. By February, I Love to Read month, things were going off the rails. I sought help from our pediatrician. Within a few months, we had our dyslexia diagnosis, which we sought privately. Like a professor, I started researching like my child's life depended on it. The light bulb went off. I needed to get my older son assessed when he started grade 5. Unfortunately, the school refused repeatedly because he was meeting grade level outcomes. We accessed an assessment outside the public school system that told us a different story, and we received our second dyslexia diagnosis. We struggled to find structured literacy tutoring privately, but eventually got in across the city. Who wants to go back to school after you get home from school? After several years of that, we also came to terms with the fact that no support was ever going to come in the public school system except for an iPad. Trust was gone. We escaped to private schools, children's self-esteem pummeled and now playing catch-up. Watching what the public school system did to my children has been the most painful experience of my life. And we are the best case scenario. We have every privilege. Sadly, our story is not unique. Ours is a similar story to what's been reported for more than 100 years about children with dyslexia. The story is the same in Ohio, New York, Ontario, and all over Manitoba. Our kids are not falling through the cracks. The system has a well-paved path off a cliff. When the Supreme Court of Canada released their landmark decision in Jeffrey Moore versus BC Education, they affirmed children's right to read and for children with dyslexia to get the supports they need. This monumental legal decision was released in November 2012, long after Jeffrey Moore had graduated high school, and coincidentally, the same week I became a mother. I would like to acknowledge Rick, Michelle, and Jeff Moore for their 15-year fight to obtain that Supreme Court decision. Without their unwavering commitment and dedication to children with dyslexia, as well as the organizations supporting them, this inquiry and report would not have happened and be released today. Unfortunately, their advocacy wasn't enough to save my own children from the same discrimination Jeff faced in BC. I don't know the Moores, but I've heard Rick Moore speak, and like him and many other advocates who I'm very thankful for, and the volunteers here today, we are here because of our children, but not for them. It's too late for many of them. Today, a child with dyslexia was born in Winnipeg, who I will likely never know, and whose parents I will likely never meet. I'm here because when we know better, we can do better for the next generation. I'm here because every child matters. Together with many other parents and students, I shared our family's experience with the Manitoba Human Rights Commission. I want to thank all the parents and students with dyslexia from across Manitoba, some of whom are here today, for their courage and vulnerability in sharing the harm they experienced in Manitoba's public education system. We were gaslit. We were told to wait and see. Read to your child more. They're fine. Maybe they just need to find their Harry Potter. Our children have been denied timely psychoeducational assessments and evidence-based instruction. Our kids have experienced rampant ableism through low expectations, and many of them have been bullied. Your children and their stories have moved me more than you'll know. I want to thank Karen Sharma and the Manitoba Human Rights Commission for listening when many in the education sector refuse to listen, refuse to learn, and sometimes even refuse to meet. I also want to thank the many educators who have supported our children in unsupportive systems, and the brave educators who have spoken out over the years, sometimes at great professional risk. I feel this inquiry is just as much about the teachers who are left to classrooms without any training, curriculum support, and evidence-based tools to support all the kids in the classroom. It is my hope that this report will give parents something they can go to their school with. But this report is only the beginning. The hard work will come through implementing the recommendations to realize all children's right to learn to read. Beyond that, dyslexic children deserve to receive a diagnosis of a learning disability with dignity, not through the current wait-to-fail model that robs children of their well-being and self-esteem, and a two-tier system of assessment and support that exacerbates inequities. Ultimately, the recommendations in this report are about much more than reading. This is about children's future. The stakes are incredibly high. In kindergarten, foundational instruction also includes teaching children that when they hurt someone, they should apologize, even when that harm may be unintentional. That foundation to communication in relationships applies here too. It's up to us adults to model it. I call on the Ministry of Education, school divisions, and faculties of education to acknowledge the harm they have had on our children with dyslexia and their families. And I call on them to endorse and implement the recommendations we're going to hear today. The kids are watching.